Hey, so in this video, I'm going to go over something that I see a lot of SaaS founders not really understanding, and that's understanding the SaaS funnel model and how to really grow your business in the long term. So let's get right into it. So the first thing that makes a lot of sense for SaaS founders to take care of is looking at new ARR, right? So how much are they making per year in annual recurring revenue? Now, the way that we calculate this is we go through and look at new ARR, so new customers that you're getting in the pipeline, plus the expansion ARR, so existing customers that then you're upselling on other services, other tiers, other plans, that sort of thing, minus churned ARR. So these are lost customers, people that maybe found someone else that can do a similar service, or found something cheaper, or found something that offered more value to them, right? So let's look at what the SaaS funnel looks like. So there's two ways that we're getting traffic here. We've got organic, which would be considering email list, if you have a big following on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you're advertising. And then on the other side, you've got paid, right? So paid would be your Facebook ads, your whatever platform you're using for ads at the moment, LinkedIn ads, that sort of thing, right? So as many times, so what you're going to get is here a bunch of leads. So both of these will be funneling leads into your funnel. And the way that we'll look at the funnel productivity is looking at the conversion multiplied by the rate, right? So how many people are actually becoming customers, and then we look at the average deal size. So you want to optimize for number of deals created, right? So each step there's something important. So here you've got the number of people that are signing up, the number of people, like if your paid is profitable, right? If organic is actually getting you people into your funnel up at the top there. And the second aspect of that is churning these leads into deals closed, right? And there might be another step in here depending on if you have a software sales team or if you're just doing this organically through your website, depending on the ticket of your SaaS, right? So the way to quantify this, the way to understand is your SaaS funnel actually working, we can look at bookings, we can look at free trials if that's what you're using at the top of your funnel here, and you can look up signups, all these sorts of things. And these are sort of some key indicators here to see how well your SaaS funnel is actually working. Obviously, the last thing that makes sense and the thing that you should be really looking at is the average deal size and the value of that, right? So that's like the main thing that we're trying to optimize for. But in order to get to a higher amount of deals closed and higher value deals closed, then we should be looking at the number of bookings, all these sort of things, right? So let's look at constraints of the system and why it's a little bit harder than just putting in more people into the funnel, right? So there's a few things that don't scale, and they don't scale in the same way that we could with a funnel by adding in other landing pages or sorts of things like that, right? So the thing that cannot scale very easily are the number of salespeople. And this is something that I see a lot with SaaS companies when they're trying to get bigger. They just say, all right, look, we have a sales team calling people, and they only realize when it's too late that they can't call any more people, they've reached their capacity, and then they have to go through a very laborious hiring process. And the other thing to look at here is the productivity per rep, right? So it's something that doesn't increase linearly, right? So at the beginning, a rep can handle a lot of calls, a lot of sales, right? And then at a certain point over time, they start to get filled up. So they start around here, and then they continue to increase, and then it sort of tops off over here, right? So it doesn't get much higher than this, and that would be for one rep, right? So then you need not just one rep, but as soon as you start to handle much larger numbers in sales there, you have to just start getting more and more reps. And you can start to see how this caps off pretty quickly when you're looking at the data with your sales team, right? So this is the tip here is you should always be proactive when you're hiring for a sales team. You should make sure that you're doing this way in advance. And some of the common issues that I see with companies that are doing this and things that are costing them literally millions of dollars is because they're failing to hire on time. So they're looking at their numbers, they're saying, yeah, look, we want to save a bit of money here. It's usually a good metric to do, or sort of a good way to act as a business, is to not hire too much at the beginning. But what they're ending up doing is that they're hiring too late, and the hiring process is more laborious than they expected, and this means that they're missing their growth KPIs, and they're relying heavily on external recruiting teams. And what we've learned is that using external recruiting, makes the candidate quality is not as good as what you'd be getting if you're doing it yourself, because you know better than anyone else who your ideal prospect or who your ideal salesperson or person in your company is going to be, and the values and everything that you need to be looking for and hiring there. So as soon as you can get automated systems in place, and the things that we're using right now are completely automated for sales, so it takes very little time on our end to actually hop on calls and actually sort of assess these people in real time, which can cut out hundreds of hours, because this is a massive constraint for growing businesses, is hiring, right? So bring these people in-house, be proactive about hiring. This is the way that you can sort of limit this constraint, which will mean that you will have better conversion rates, more people converting, right? When these salespeople are hopping on the calls here with leads at this point in the funnel, you'll be able to get a higher conversion rate, and that will lead to more deals closed in the end for you, right? So now the next thing that's incredibly important here, as we talked about up here, is churn. So the issues with this equation is that we're looking at new ARR. So there's two ways of doing that, right? You have new customers or you have expanding new customers. And we're fighting the entire time against losing customers. So how does that look like in the context of churn? So let's look at customer lifetime value as a good heuristic here to see what is actually something that we should be striving to increase, right? So customer lifetime value. So here's a quick example, and I just drew it out sort of with these circles here. So let's say there's two customers, customer 1 and customer 2. Now, if you look over here at customer 2, 2K a month and 7K a month, right? And then over here, and that's in Q1. Now in Q2, I should say Q2. So in Q2, this customer, let's say we've lost customer 1. Now the dollar churn in this example, we've lost 2K out of the 9K that we were making. So that is a 33% churn. And there are two types of churn, right? So dollar churn is the value amount that you're currently churning or losing, right? And then the customer churn would be 50% because we've lost one of two customers. So that's really good to know. Now, how do we leverage churn to make it something that's actually very profitable for us and look at it in a completely different way, which most companies aren't doing? So now let's take a look at the power of negative churn. So here, these were both positive churn. Let's take a look at this same example right here. So we have the same client 1 and client 2, we've lost client 1 in the same as this example up here. So we'd be expecting to have some sort of a dollar churn like this. But what we've done instead is increase the value of our existing customer, which is, by the way, much easier to do than adding on new customers, right? Because adding on a new customer requires that you have a cold lead, which then you have to get on a call with your sales team. They have to follow up with them. It takes a long time. Not only does it take a long time, but it's also very costly, and it takes away their time and ability to close new deals, right? And then you get a new deal. But on the other side, if we just increase the value for the company that we're already doing here, like for customer B, then we can increase this. Say we added on another 4K for them. Now what the dollar churn looks like is -22. So at this point, we've actually increased the value of the client. So it's worth more than both clients combined at this point. So 9K versus 11K. And we still maintain this current 50% customer churn, but it's actually become profitable for us. So the way that we can make negative churn actually work for us is when we look at the revenue lost from churning customers, if this is less than the expansion revenue of existing customers. So new customers that are coming in right now, if they are worth far more to us, then we should be able to make a lot more money here. And so this is something that most people don't understand within the context of SaaS, and they can be using to highly leverage this and make way more per month, right? Because you're not actually doing much more. You're just changing the way that your service exists and sort of the value and perception of that, which is a psychological as well as there is a tangible aspect of your service that you're changing, but it is far easier and far more leveraged to be changing the way that you're the value, right? So taking it from just a little bit to way more value over here. Here are some ways in which you can do this, right? Number one, different versions of the offer. So many companies will have different versions that say, okay, this is the starting version, this is the monthly beginners tier, so intermediate and advanced or VIP, platinum tier, whatever you want to call it, changing the amount of features that you're giving to your customers based on their needs, right? So if they're a massive company and they're going to have way more licenses, maybe you sell them 500 or 1,000 licenses on a higher up tier, right? Or the next way that you can do that is depth of usage. So this could be database size. You have to look at what are people actually using in your software, how can you track that, and then how can you sell that and quantify this particular thing so it seems like they have more skin in the game, right? So if you're offering, for example, MailChimp or one of these ones that has a lot of emails, then what you'd want to do is look at the mailing list size, right? So how many people are on your mailing list? And if you're sending out to 10,000 people, that's one tier. If you're sending out to 10,001 people all the way up to 50,000 people, then you have to pay more for that because that is the function. And when people are getting more value out of the software, i.e. they're sending more emails out, then they'll be getting way more value, and it's okay to charge more for that. And that's something that's pretty commonly agreed on at this point, and people don't seem to feel like it's, it's pretty reasonable in order to charge more for that. Now, the other thing would be expansion tiers. So this would be similar to different versions of the offer, but expansion tiers could be completely new add-ons, right? So this could be for MailChimp, this could be, for example, adding in different levels of support or other sort of features like that. Now, the last one, which is incredibly powerful, is number of users, because this is something that you can change and add on quite easily, especially as they grow and start to become more profitable with your software or get whatever sort of benefit that you're trying to sell with them. But you can add on more seats, and that is another way to scale very, very easily and get a negative churn. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I would love to hear some feedback on how this went. And if you're looking to build these systems out so that you don't have to focus, so that you can, well, both focus on getting new customers in your pipeline, but also increase the conversion rate and work on building out offers that actually get you negative churn and start to leverage that to a new level, then go ahead and check the link out in the description. You can book in a call with our team, and we can go through and show you some custom strategies and how we're able to do this for our customers right now and add an extra 30 to 100K per month in MRR. If you found this helpful, please make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe to check out new videos for SaaS founders and online businesses. Thank you so much. Have a good one.